What's up, guys? Skippy Africanus here, and today we're going to be going into the Tempus Razorback from Modern Warfare 2, or as it's known in real life, the STA-52 Assault Rifle. Wait, no, hold up for a second. That's actually the one from Killzone. This one is actually the VHS-2 in real life, which most certainly has a very cool, very STA-52 from Killzone kind of look going on with it. Which, speaking of which, before we get into the IRL gun, I would like to personally thank Modern Warfare 2 for not allowing me to put the master key on this thing. Like, you know, you guys added, like, the cool rail with this gun, and that was definitely nice to add this rail because, you know, I've seen this rail on the HS Products site, but, like, I mean, it doesn't seem like it really exists. It seems kind of rare, and it definitely has a cool look going on, and I'm glad Modern Warfare 2 added it. But that being said, though, why can I not equip the master key to this gun? It's like you specifically knew I was trying to make it more like an STA-52 so I could LARP as a Helgen in-game, and you were like, you know, it'd be really cool, like, a way to bother Scipio is we'll add the cool-ass rail, but we're not gonna add the master key, just so it's almost there, but it's not entirely there. Anyways, enough with that little rant. Let's get back into the actual gun, the VHS-2, aka one of, if not the best, bullpups ever designed. The VHS, or Vysenemjenska Varviska Stronjindik, yeah, that's exactly how you pronounce it, by the way. That is the actual legit pronunciation. I made no mistake in pronouncing that. But anyways, the VHS began its development in Croatia in 2003. However, you could argue that the work HS Product did on some other rifle platforms beginning in the early 90s was when development of the rifle really started. As they're trying out things like creating a bullpup AK variant to a bunch of other different rifle designs, it would all add up to the company's experience in the end, and lead us to the modern VHS-2 rifle that we have today. Taking a look at the finished product, one notices a very FAMAS look going on with it. However, go back in time to before 2008, and the original rifle to be released is an almost mirror image to the FAMAS. Actually, funny side note, I genuinely had to look into the VHS-2 compared to the in-game gun because of all the weird stuff they did with it. Like, I was getting real suspicious that maybe this thing is some weird VHS offshoot or potentially a different gun entirely because it's just got so much weird stuff going on with it. And, you know, had they added the FAMAS and used, like, this exact image as the in-game gun, like, of course, I would think certain parts and, you know, looks were a little bit odd. But I'd have likely never looked, like, as far into it as I did with, you know, this gun because of just how close, you know, this gun looks to the FAMAS. But obviously, with such a close look to the FAMAS on the early rifle, it is no doubt that this gun was heavily influeed by it. However, the gun would not stay in this configuration as mentioned, as on November 24th, 2008, HS Product would introduce the final variant of the VHS-2 rifle, doing things like removing that extra tall carry handle and adding something a little more reasonable, adding a bunch more railing, a whole bunch of little and major tweaks to really fine-tune the rifle. And what they would come up with is perhaps the best bullpup ever designed. To start off, these guns are incredibly reliable, capable of being operated in some pretty harsh conditions that would kill most other bullpups or just other rifles in general. Add to that, these guns feature an incredibly high amount of modularity. Of course, you have the standard Picatinny rail on top, but what if you aren't a fan of the length of pull? Well, just change the buttstock length because that thing is adjustable. Or what if you want something like, let's say, a grenade launcher? Well, you know, you can just swap out the handguard for the one with the launcher on it. And hell, if you aren't a fan of this top, you could always, again, swap it out for something like this without a problem. But Scipio, I'm a wrong-handed shooter, but bullpups are usually right-hand eject, and it's weird to change them to wrong-hand eject. Well, don't worry, my friend, because the VHS-2 can not only be fired from either shoulder given its ambi controls and brass deflectors, but the bolt itself can actually be set up to be both right and wrong hand ejection, and with zero special parts needed like on a lot of other bullpups. All in all, certainly the most modular of bullpup rifles, and when it comes to the user-friendliness department, they aren't lacking there either. This gun features stuff like a bolt release, as mentioned, completely ambidextrous controls, even a way to launch rifle grenades as opposed to solely using the typical underbarrel launchers. All in all, a very user-friendly gun, and also not a super complex gun in how it works either. The gun utilizes a short-stroke gas piston system. Essentially, as the cartridge is fired, gas traveling behind the bullet will vent up and rearwards through this tube right here. Inside that tube is a small piston that it will push against. This piston, in turn, will push against this piece right here, sending this whole assembly rearward minus this piece, aka the bolt head. As this piece, the bolt carrier, is moving rearwards, it's actually causing the bolt bolt head to rotate, and once the bolt head has reached full rotation to where these locking lugs are not being blocked by metal, it will also travel rearwards with the bolt carrier. At full travel rearward, a recoil spring will then push this whole assembly forward, where it will pick up a cartridge, the bolt head will rotate as the bolt carrier pushes forward, and at full rotation, you're ready to fire the next shot. Now, you may be thinking that due to this rifle being a bullpup, that the actual trigger system that drops the hammer is overly complex, and while it is true that it has a little more going on versus your standard AR, AK, what have you, all this trigger really does is pull on a bar that pushes a piece to press on this button in the trigger pack, which actually drops the hammer. Nothing too extreme going on here. So we've really gone into this rifle from its history to its real cool features to how it works, but the question still remains with how great this rifle truly is. Like, does anyone else actually use this thing aside from Croatia and the Helgan Army? The answer to that question is yes. This rifle certainly has found its way in quite a few countries' militaries as well as police forces, and there are other countries currently taking a look into it. Although, one thing to mention, I'm certain the French are not looking into this rifle as they ended up going with the HK416, and there is frankly no way in hell that the US will adopt these. I mean, they're already wasting their time with that whole Six Spear program that they will abandon. Mark my words, they will abandon. And those are pretty damn close to an AR rifle, you know, but these are even more off of the standard AR platform. No way in hell the United States is going to adopt these in any major numbers, at least. However, Romania is probably the only country on this list that might actually have some potential in adopting them. I might be wrong. I really don't do any research into Romania and how it is down there, but, you know, I'm gonna go off on a limb and say maybe there's some potential with them actually adopting this rifle. Which, all this being said, I will add that the French most certainly did not adopt the 416 because it was better. That was not likely the sole reason they did end up adopting it. It most likely had to do with logistics, as the French tend to fight alongside the US, and, you know, an HK416 may not be like an identical copy to what we're using currently, except for the Marines. I'm pretty sure the Marines actually use the 416. But, you know, it's not like a full-on copy to what we're using, but it's a lot more closer than this is, and most certainly they adopted it for logistics purposes. And the same thing goes for the United States. There is no way in hell that we are going to abandon the AR platform. I mean, sure, like, rifles like this are definitely, in my opinion, a lot better. I know bullpups get a lot of hate, but they are way easier to move around with and all that stuff. That being said, though, they are not better enough to justify actually replacing the, you know, AR platform. I mean, the actual cost it would be, you know, to actually get these into production and then phase out all the rifles we currently have, as well as all that stuff. There's no way in hell we're going to it. You would have... The only thing we will like phase out the M4s and all that stuff for is like if we get plasma weapons or something like that. Like those are not getting phased out. And again, side note, they are definitely not getting phased out by this thing, but there's other reasons for that. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that you know, just because a gun loses out, you know, a trial or whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean that that was actually the worst choice. Sometimes you can have guns that are far better than the options available, but due to reasons like logistics, cost, and all that, they will not be picked. But anyways, I think that is going to do it for this short little video on the Tempus Razorback from Modern Warfare 2, or as it's known in real life, the VHS-2. I hope you all enjoyed the video as much as I personally enjoyed making it, and I will see y'all in the next Guns of Modern Warfare 2 in real life video.